You're mid-argument, your jaw tightens, your blood runs hot, and before your brain can even process what's happening, the words fly out of your mouth. A door slams, a fist hits a table, or maybe you do the exact opposite. You shut down, swallow the rage, and let it poison you from the inside out for days. And 30 minutes later, the fallout hits. The regret, the embarrassment, the damaged trust. Most people treat anger like a character defect or an unstoppable monster that just takes over. So they try to suppress it, bottle it up, or vent it by screaming into a pillow or punching a bag. Here's the problem. Suppressing anger makes it explode later, and venting it actually trains your brain to get angry faster next time. Anger isn't a defect, and it isn't an enemy. It is a high-voltage warning light on your dashboard. In this video, we are breaking down the neurobiology of why your brain hijacks your body when you get mad, and setting up a comprehensive 6-phase system to catch the spark before it becomes a wildfire and turn that energy into absolute self-mastery. When something triggers you, your brain's threat center, the amygdala, fires an emergency signal before your rational prefrontal cortex even registers what happened. In less than a second, your body floods with adrenaline and cortisol. Your heart rate spikes, your blood vessels constrict, and your logical thinking shuts down. You are biologically primed to fight off a physical predator, even if the threat is just a rude comment, a slow driver, or an email. You cannot reason with a brain that is actively flooded with survival chemicals. You have to reset the underlying physiology first. Think of your nervous system like a high-revving engine stuck in redline. If you try to steer logically while the engine is overheating, you'll just crash harder. The instant you feel that heat rising in your chest, execute a physical circuit breaker. Unclench your hands. Relax your jaw. Unshoulder the tension you didn't realize you were holding. Then use the physiological sigh. Take 2 rapid inhales through your nose, followed by a long, slow, extended exhale through your mouth. Doing this 2 or 3 times mechanically expands the tiny air sacs in your lungs, dumps carbon dioxide, and triggers the vagus nerve to slow your heart rate. You aren't trying to solve the problem in this exact moment. You are simply forcing the emergency alarm to turn off so your rational, conscious mind can come back online. Here is a psychological truth that changes everything. Anger almost never travels alone. It is almost always a secondary emotion, a protective shield created by your brain to cover up a more vulnerable primary emotion. Underneath rage, you will almost always find one of 3 core triggers: fear, sadness, or a profound feeling of helplessness. Anger feels powerful. It gives you a sudden surge of energy, certainty, and control. Fear, hurt, and shame, on the other hand, feel weak, exposed, and uncomfortable. So your brain automatically converts the vulnerable feeling into anger because it feels safer to attack than to admit you've been hurt or frightened. When you scream at someone for being late, are you furious about the clock? Or are you terrified that they don't value your time? When you snap at your partner over a minor mistake, is it about the mistake, or do you feel exhausted and unappreciated? The next time you feel explosive rage, ask yourself one simple, piercing question: what am I actually protecting right now? The moment you acknowledge the primary feeling, whether it's feeling dismissed, scared, or overwhelmed, the defensive rage instantly loses its biological purpose. Between the moment you are triggered and the moment you react, there is a tiny fraction of a second. Uncontrolled anger happens when that gap is 0. Something happens and you instantly react on autopilot. Mastering anger means systematically expanding that gap so you can choose a deliberate response instead of falling into a knee-jerk reaction. Implement the 10-second freeze rule, combined with a mandatory physical shift. When triggered in a conversation or a tense environment, commit to saying absolutely nothing for 10 full seconds. Do not type the reply text. Do not utter a single word. Step back, take a sip of water, or simply state, "I am feeling too angry to discuss this constructively right now. I am taking 10 minutes to clear my head, and then we will finish this." Taking a strategic pause is not weakness or running away. It is a display of absolute self-mastery. It prevents you from saying things in 10 seconds of rage that take 10 months to repair. During that pause, physically change your environment. Walk into another room, step outside, or wash your face with cold water. Changing your sensory inputs breaks the momentum of the anger loop. Your brain is a storytelling machine, and when you get angry, it generates aggressive narratives that fuel the fire. You tell yourself things like, they did that on purpose, they have zero respect for me, or this is completely unfair. These thoughts trigger intense cognitive distortions. You assume malice where there might only be incompetence, distraction, or a simple misunderstanding. Every time you repeat that angry story in your head, you pump another wave of stress hormones into your bloodstream, keeping the anger alive for hours after the event is over. Challenge your internal narrator through cognitive reframing. When an aggressive thought appears, force yourself to generate two alternative, non-malicious explanations for the other person's behavior. Maybe they had a terrible day. Maybe they are dealing with a personal crisis you know nothing about. Maybe they didn't realize how their words sounded. You don't have to excuse bad behavior, but removing the assumption of personal malice instantly de-escalates your internal state and allows you to address the situation with authority rather than emotional desperation. Anger isn't just a mental state, it is a massive physical mobilization of energy. Your body prepares for intense physical exertion, to fight or to flee. If you successfully stop yourself from screaming or reacting, that high-voltage physical energy is still trapped inside your nervous system. If you just sit there trying to suppress it, your body stays in a state of chronic internal tension, leading to long-term stress, high blood pressure, and eventual emotional outbursts over minor inconveniences. You must complete the stress cycle physically. Give that accumulated physical charge a safe, structured outlet. Go for a fast-paced sprint, do a heavy set of push-ups, put on headphones and listen to intense music while going for a rapid walk or engage in a high-intensity workout. Notice the intention here. This is not venting anger by punching walls or destroying objects, which only reinforces aggressive pathways in the brain. This is completing the physiological stress loop through controlled physical effort so your nervous system can officially return to a calm baseline. Anger is raw, high-potency energy. Trying to crush it down or pretend it isn't there is harmful, but dumping it onto other people is destructive. The goal of anger management is channeling that raw energy into clear, firm boundary setting. Anger exists to tell you that a boundary has been crossed or a core value has been violated. Use that energy to fix the boundary, not to destroy the person who crossed it. Shift your communication from attack mode to boundary mode. Instead of using you statements that trigger defensiveness, like, you always ignore me, and your selfish use clear assertive I statements. I feel disrespected when plans change without letting me know. If we agree on a time, I need us to stick to it. You take the explosive fuel of rage and refine it into laser-focused clarity. You stand your ground, protect your peace, and command respect without ever losing your composure. You don't master anger overnight. It is a physical and psychological muscle that gets stronger every single time you choose a deep breath over a sharp reaction. Give yourself grace when you slip up, but stay committed to widening that gap between the trigger and your response. Did you understand it? If not, write your questions in the comments below and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this.